So data scientists are super high in demand right now, and they actually make a good amount of money. So what I found online is that they're averaging, or like the median pay was around $98,000, which is, you know, close to six figures. And of course that's tax-free in the United States. That's kind of how we go about salary increases. So I want to go over 5 steps on how to become a data scientist yourself. In this video, we're gonna go over basically what data science is. So as a data science manager myself, I will kind of define what exactly it is. Then we're gonna look at a real world job application, which shows you what are the requirements for you to take this role as far as educational background and use it to kind of get some of those software. So then we'll go into why do you need a degree to go into, you know, a data science role, and then talk about what classes you can take to learn Python, what classes you can take to learn SQL, and then eventually how do you go about finding a job and applying for a job. If you're new here, I'm Liz. I'm a data science manager at Intel, so I analyze data for a living. So I'm the perfect person to tell you exactly how to go about getting a data science role. Now it's super broad, so just take that into consideration. And I'm gonna talk about how you can kind of gear your software and what you learn towards the job applications that we look at, because there are tons of different data science roles. Like my role is very different than other roles. But if you're into data science and all that, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, let's just jump right into the video. Okay, so the first step is to figure out if you're even interested in data science. So the perfect website for this is actually called Road Trip Nation. Now, I wish I had discovered this site when I was going into college, but I didn't. So I got a general mechanical engineering degree and then realized I was very interested in data science by kind of going around this website. Now on the website, they have like interviews of real life data scientists. You can type in literally any role. It'll tell you the definition of the role. It'll talk about the different responsibilities of the role. And then it even has live interviews as well as like kind of where the job career is projecting to as well. It's a super cool site. I wish I found it earlier, so go ahead and check that out. I will link it below. But to give you a very general idea of what data science is, it's literally analyzing data. So it's gonna be very computer heavy, very much code involved. So you're gonna learn a couple different coding languages. It's not as bad as people say it is. They're like, oh, you have to be so smart to code and know math and all this stuff. It is not that hard. Like, you take classes like any other degree plan, like it's not that bad. But if you're interested in analyzing data and then making decisions off that data, then this is definitely the right career path for you. Okay, so we know we're interested in data science. Cool. Now what do we do? Okay, so you're gonna wanna go and figure out what company you wanna actually work for. Like, there are so many different things you can do with data science that you need to focus on the job, because at the end of the day, you wanna get paid, right? So we're gonna go on and look at a real life job application, which I will show you on my computer over there. But you basically wanna look around and be like, okay, I want this specific job, and then go and learn the software that they list in the requirements section. So let's hop onto the computer and take a look at a real world job application. So here's an example of a job request that is kind of public for everyone to look at, so you can kind of see. I just typed in data science into Intel careers. So you're gonna wanna go to the bottom to qualifications. Now, the first thing that most jobs at like higher or bigger corporations require bachelor's degree in computer science, math, or some sort of engineering background. That's why I was able to get my job, because I have a degree in engineering. So, and then sometimes I want a master's, but it's not, I wouldn't focus on the master's. Just, I would say most of the time you're gonna need to get a Bachelor of Science degree or a bachelor's degree in computer science. Now, in order to understand what software to learn, you can go in here and kind of pick out words. So later on in the video, we're going to talk about Python and SQL, but you can see Python is right in front, right? And so is SQL. Those are 2 bullet points on the job request. So it's like, okay, those you could type into Udemy or Khan Academy or wherever you want to take your classes and learn those. And then same thing with Azure Data Factory. I'm actually in the middle of a class on Azure Data Factories, so I'll link that below too. But these are kind of the 3 that you're going to want to be looking at. Now, you don't necessarily want to go with Azure first, because you don't know what your company will be using as far as the cloud computing aspect of things. So I would start off with Python and SQL, which we will get to later on in this video. Now, this one is a bit more controversial in the sense that not everyone needs a computer science degree to go into data science. It does open doors. Like you saw in the job application we looked at, It definitely was a requirement to have a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts in Computer Science, but it's not exactly required in a lot of other jobs. So I'm just gonna briefly touch on it. You're talking a 3 to 4 year degree plan. Typically it's 4 years, done in 4 years. You can sometimes like take summer classes and get ahead of it. You could do this online, you could do this at a university, but if you already have an engineering degree, you actually don't need to go back and get a computer science degree. Like I have a broad mechanical engineering degree and then I have a role in data science because I learned it on the side. Like I am completely self-taught online. So just take that in mind. Now the next step is to take a Python course. Now we saw in that job application that they had so many different languages. Trust me, they do not expect you to know every freaking language, programming language out there in the world. So focus on Python first. That is pretty standard, pretty industry standard. So take a Python course. Now I recommend taking it on Udemy. That is where I took my course, so I will link it below. But there's also other like sites to learn on, like Code Academy, Udemy, and then also Free Code Camp. So you're not exclusive to one thing. Udemy is paid, Free Code Camp is not. You know, there's lots of different sites where you can go learn it for free and paid, but I preferred a paid class just because it's nicely structured, but I will link everything below. Now, when you pick your Python course, make sure that it has kind of a couple different data science libraries. And so when I say that, I mean Pandas is an example of a data science library. NumPy as well, that's also data analytics. And then also make sure that you're doing some API calls because you will need to basically ingest the data in order to analyze it. So APIs is super important that you guys learn to know as well. Okay, so I know it sounds like a lot, but you're also gonna need to learn SQL as well. A lot of people call it SQL, SQL, same thing. I call it SQL, so you'll just hear it like that. But I filmed an entire video on taking a SQL class and I compared the different boot camps. So I'll just give you a summary version, which is go take the free online class on Khan Academy. That's how I learned bare minimum SQL. Now there's different versions of SQL, but that one is like just the bare bones because there's also like MySQL and a couple other like spin-offs of SQL, like Azure SQL. So just keep that in mind that the Khan Academy one is just the regular one, and then you can kind of shift depending on what the job application requires. Okay, now this is the part that everybody freaking hates, and that is actually applying for a job. Now, I recommend doing it more of the human way, and that is to find a human that is working in the job that you want or is a coworker of the job you want or whatever, and reach out to them directly via LinkedIn or networking events. You want to start meeting people in the data science world. Now, how you can go about doing that is start documenting your progress on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, wherever you want. Now, I started documenting on YouTube and Twitter. So Twitter, I did the 100 Days of Code Challenge, and now I'm on the 365 Days Code Challenge. So I meet a lot of people through there. And then also on YouTube, just posting, showing that you're learning, that you could be a good employee, all that stuff. And then when you go to interview, you have backup, you have documentation showing that your journey, if you wish. So that is a great way to establish that you are on a path, that you learn, and then also meet some people along the way, and then start talking to people. And then the other way is to just kind of mass throw your resume into all these job applications, which is, you know, it's a strategy, but it's not as personal as if you find someone who has the role that you want. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you want to create a killer resume, I also have a class on Skillshare where I show you the exact resume that I used to get my job. So, and a couple other examples as well. So if you're interested, I do have a link below, and it's 30 days free trial on Skillshare. So you can kind of just like watch the classes and then get out of there and cancel the trial if you wish. But you might actually enjoy the classes because I take a lot of all classes on Skillshare as well. Okay, so that was 5 steps to become a data science engineer, basically in 2022. If you're interested in the SQL video that I mentioned before, I will link that right here so you guys can kind of see how it is taking it on Khan Academy versus like Free Code Camp and all that jazz. So click that. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.